Welcome to MSL Presents A Question of Law. Thank you for joining us. This program is brought to you by the Massachusetts School of Law and is shown nationwide. Crime fighter, crime stopper, explosive detector, tracker, narcotics detector, human remains detector, security specialist. What am I describing? A cop's partner, the police dog. They do things police officers do, and even do what police officers won't do themselves. They play a vital role in police work. They risk their lives and receive only a pat on their head in return. So in the half hour that follows, we will discuss the use of canines in police work and the legal ramifications of using these specialists. Joining me for this discussion is Officer Norman Lavasser of the Lowell, Massachusetts Police Department Canine Unit, and his partner Frisco, the police dog. Welcome, Frisco. And I'm Diane Sullivan, your host for today's show. Officer, thanks for joining me. Tell us, who uses police dogs? Is it the federal government, state governments? Is it local police departments?
It's all agencies. All agencies use dogs.
All agencies are using dogs. So there's a lot of dogs in police work today.
Certainly is.
Wow. You never see them out there, it seems. So.
Yeah. They do quite a job.
But they're there at work.
They're the unsung heroes.
Yes, they certainly are that. Tell me, what breeds of dogs are typically used? Is there a mix of dogs?
There's good German Shepherds, Belgian Malinois like Frisco. They use Golden Retrievers, Labradors.
Do they use Chows? That's the type of dog I have.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Where are these dogs bred? Are they bred locally here in the United States or overseas?
Some are bred local. Most of them come from overseas. The Malinois from Belgium, Holland, Shepherds from Germany, Czechoslovakia.
Really? What typically would a police dog cost if you bought the dog as a puppy?
Usually you get them from 14 months up, and they range from anywhere from $3,500 to $7,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Still a lot less expensive than a police officer.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yep.
Let me ask you this. What personality traits do you think are needed for a police dog?
You have to make sure they have a good ball drive, like to chase the ball. That's one of the most important things. Obedience. Make sure they adhere to what you're telling them. A lot of different aspects of what you want. You want them to be gentle, then you want them to work also, on command. So that's one of the parts when you go check a dog out, make sure they have the high ball drive.
Do they need to be aggressive by nature? Is that a requirement? Or
No. It's part of the training. They don't have to be aggressive. You don't want them aggressive.
So they're only aggressive when you give them a command to make them aggressive.
Right.
I think that's a misconception so many of us have.
Yeah, a lot of them think they're vicious. I go into schools with them, do demos with little kids. They want to pet them. They're an all-around. You've got to be an all-around dog.
How are police dogs used in police work? What are some of the types of things they do?
Most of them are patrol work, which consists of tracking, building searches, criminal apprehension, article searches, evidence recovery, and a lot have specialties like Frisco specialties, narcotics. Narcotic detection, some are cadaver, and then you have your explosive ordnance dogs, and then you have your arson dogs.
Because you've brought up Frisco's specialty is drugs, let's leave the studio for just a few minutes and let's join Frisco on a drug search.
Diane, why don't you grab the narcotics so I don't get my scent on them? There's a bolt with some crack cocaine and there's a bag with heroin.
And the cocaine is in here?
There's crack cocaine in there. What this was a search we were doing. The patrol officers called for the dog for assistance for narcotics. Dog was indicated under the seat, and there was some tools and some bolts like this. We're looking all over. Come to find out, we find out recently, well, that night, that there was there's a new type of hide. If you want to unscrew it, you can show it that these drug dealers are getting sophisticated so no one can find the drugs. And they hollowed out a bolt like that and loaded with crack cocaine, 5 grams of crack cocaine.
So what would you like me to do with this? Okay,
I'll have you take the cocaine and also a bag of heroin, and we'll go hide it. I don't want to touch it. I don't want my scent on it. It's in this bag here. It's a small yellow bag.
Okay.
And it should say heroin on it, and we'll go hide it somewhere, and then we'll bring the dog in and see if we can find it.
Very good. Where shall I hide it?
All right, let's go down here.
What time did Frisco start work today?
We came in at 9 o'clock this morning.
9 o'clock, and you'll work until?
We'll work till 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock, and then he'll go home with you?
Yeah, he stays with me. And why don't we put the bag of heroin right under the... Sure.
Oh, Oh, my goodness.
All right, cover it up. Okay, then we'll go over here and why don't we put the bolt? Let's see if this is open. Yeah, they're locked. All right. Why don't we put the bolt right in there? And there's food in there, and it's refrigerated, and we'll see how he does.
Okay.
Okay. Want to find the dope? Want to find the dope? Okay. Come here. Sit.
What is Frisco going to do to let you know he's found?
When I bring him in, I'm going to have him at a sit. He knows he's going to work because I have his working call. I'm going to tell him, seek. Means find the drugs, find the dope. I'm going to let him off lead. I'm going to say, check, check. It's called point to point. Check, 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 check. Over here. Check, check. Good boy. And he'll sniff where I tell him to sniff. Sometimes depends how warm it is, he'll pick it up right away and he'll go right to it without me telling him. Yeah, check, check. Is it in there? Show me. Check. Good boy. Yes. Sit. Off. It's kind of hard to fool these dogs. Off. If there's odor, and they can detect it behind false walls, false compartments. See? They're going to find the narcotics. Good boy. Up. Check. He does most of the work. Good boy. He's
I need a police dog.
yeah, he does all the work. You know, he tells me where to go. I train 8 hours a week with him.
Do you?
Have to keep on top of it, and it's fun. Make it fun for him with his toys, his ball. You know, they love the work. These police dogs, whether they're German Shepherds, Belgian Malinois, they all love the work. If I'm in trouble, all right, handler protection. He's trained to help me out if I'm in trouble. One night, I was jumped by a couple of people, and what I did is I just hit. This opens the cruiser door. It's called a bailout. He came, he grabbed one person, actually grabbed both of them, one, and trying to help me out. You know, and then they gave up, so I downed them. They went to jail. He does a very good job. He's a great partner, and he does everything I tell him to do, and he doesn't give me any back talk.
I thought my dog was the smartest dog on earth, but I've learned today he certainly is.
Frisco, foot. Yeah. Good boy. Huh. It's a good partner. Yeah. Come here. But they want to be loved. You know, and they love attention. You know.
He's a beauty.
As long as they're trained right. You know, I don't fear. I go and do demonstrations with little kids. They can pat him. You know, he's not going to bite unless I tell him to bite, and that's the way I got him trained. That's the way I like it. I don't have to worry about liability. Another thing is you got to remember he's still a dog, and that's always on the back of my mind. So I got to keep an eye on him and constantly watch him. He'll hold on to it forever. You know, he hates to give up his toy.
That's part of the game.
Right. Well, that's what it is. Right.
Sure.
Try and take it from him. You know, it's a labor of love. It's a lot of work, but it's a labor of love.
Welcome back to MSL Presents A Question of Law. Frisco, you are just incredible, and I hope our audience enjoyed that piece. I know I was just astounded by what I saw. It's really quite incredible. Officer, are police dogs used in non-violent petty crimes in any way? How might you use Frisco in something that is not of a violent nature?
Sure. If there's a lost person, a lost child, we'll take them out and start a track. Little child was seen last, see if we can pick up an odor and start tracking them. So we can find them.
Gee, very recently I was telling my family about how I had been out and what Frisco had done, and they told me they had heard, I guess the night before or the day before, there was a young child missing, and they were going to call Lowell to bring in Frisco. So has Frisco ever been used to search for a missing child?
Several times.
Several times, and has he been successful in finding?
Yes, as long as the child stays put and doesn't keep going, because they'll track all night if they have to. We've had a lot of success with Frisco. Yes.
What a wonderful service. Could you distinguish for the audience or for me, and I'm not sure I have the phraseology correct, but this is something I was reading about where dogs are used to either find a person and then they bark until you come to apprehend, or they might find the criminal themselves and bite the criminal. What are the different techniques?
What it is, some of the dogs are trained for a sit and bark. If we're doing a building search after a criminal, and he finds him, he'll sit and bark till the officer gets there watching the criminal. Frisco's trained to apprehend. If we go on a building search, he'll apprehend. A lot of officers and canines are killed with the sit and bark.
Oh, I'm sure that's right, because if he goes and sits and barks, I mean, they're going to shoot him.
Right. Well, that's if they're armed or stab him.
Yeah.
So what we do is he's trained to apprehend. I'll give a warning, Lowell Police Canine Unit, come out now with your hands up. I'll release the dog and you will be bit. I'll give it twice. And then I'll release the dog and he'll find him. Now, if I see the suspect giving up while the dog's en route, I can down the dog or call him to a recall. He'll come back to me and I'll tell him, watch him. His ears will go up like he's doing now and he'll watch. He will not apprehend unless I give him the command. I'll tell him, don't run, stay with me.
Oh, wow. Now, tell me, how does he know who's the criminal?
He doesn't. He's just, someone's not supposed to be in that sort of part of an area. He's going to find him.
So if it's nighttime, the building is locked,
And
an alarm's going off, whoever he finds, he's going to assume to be the criminal.
Right.
So he's relying on you.
Right. I'll bring him in. I'll tell my backup officers, stay behind me. You know, and the backup officers will cover me. I'll cover the dog.
Has anybody ever attempted to shoot Frisco?
No.
Oh,
no,
thank goodness.
not at all. Not yet. We have a vest for him. When we go into a building like that, we have a bulletproof vest. I wear one, and I'll put it on Frisco also.
So when you make a decision that you need a bulletproof vest, you're going to also put one on
Right.
Frisco?
Any building search, whether they're armed or not, any type of search we're doing, he wears his vest.
Now, are the vests heavy for him? Does he mind wearing
No,
the vest?
actually, he doesn't mind. It's about 7 pounds, but it's evened out, and he's strong enough to carry it.
Oh, that I saw firsthand. He's strong enough. Let's change topics. Tell us about Frisco's life when he's not at work.
Well, he's got a pretty good life. He's a couch potato. He's at home, and he's got freedom of the house. He's very good, very protective of the home. Someone comes up the driveway, he'll let us know. And it's the best security system when we're out we have. You know.
So he lives life just like a normal pet might live life.
Absolutely. He likes to lay down by our feet and just watch TV and relax. And
Well, that's great. I am really happy to hear he's not living in a pen or a cage
no,
somewhere.
we have an outdoor kennel. In the nice weather, we'll put him outdoor. He has to be kenneled, but usually he's in the house. He likes being in the house.
I bet he does. Let's discuss the penalties, if any, for killing a canine in the line of work. Would there be a penalty? What if somebody shot Frisco?
It is a federal offense to harm or kill a police dog, police animal. Yes, and also to harass a police animal, whether it's a horse or a police dog. Go up and start harassing them, you'd be arrested.
So do you have any idea what a typical penalty might be? Would they charge somebody with manslaughter?
No, it's just, I don't know what the penalty would be right now, but...
But it's a criminal statute?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And most states, do they have similar type of statutes?
I believe it's federal.
It is a
It's
federal.
federal.
Let me ask you this. What if a handler were to mistreat their dog? Would they be penalized, and in what way?
I've never heard of that happening, and I don't think it would ever happen. All the handlers take very good care of their partners. I mean, these dogs would give their life for you, you know, so as far as I know, I've never heard of it, and they've all police dogs are treated very well.
And is Frisco's life very similar to that of most police dogs? They go home with their handler?
Yes, all of them do.
They do.
They handle it. No one else can handle them, so they stay with the handler. They go home to the family, and you know, they're part of the family.
How did they choose you?
It was a tough process. They posted it and had interviews. A lot of people put in for it, and just I lucked out. I think it was the best job on the department.
Before we take a break, tell me, what is it like for you doing patrol work with Frisco versus doing patrol work with another police officer? How is it different?
Well, what it is, another police officer, it's not that different. It's just that he's more alert. He can, I'll tell him what to do. He'll listen to me. You know, it's just total different situations.
And you don't have to bring him a coffee. Do you have to bring him a bone?
No, no bones, no coffees. He just, a lot of praise. That's what he works on, a lot of love and praise. You know.
Just wonderful, 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 wonderful. Well, to our viewing audience, we need to take a break, so please stay tuned and we'll be right back. Thanks.
Kathy died real suddenly from a brain aneurysm. She was 29 years old. There was no warning. Organ donation was a very painful decision to make on my own. I wish we'd talked about it because I didn't know if I was doing the right thing. We didn't have that discussion because We thought we were young. We thought we had a lot of time, but we didn't.
Chemistry class led me to a life of crime. I catch murderers, rapists, and thieves with a microscope. Help your daughter become a scientist. Instead of a tea set, get her a chemistry set. Look at the boring job I got from being a science nerd. Expect the best from a girl. That's what you'll get.
For anyone who believes there should always be someone to bring relief when people need it most. For anyone who thinks people in need can mean any people, any time, any place. For anyone who believes a little knowledge taught in a lot of neighborhoods can make a family safer, then you must believe the Red Cross is a pretty great thing. To do all this, the Red Cross needs your generosity. Please call now and offer your support, because help can't wait.
It's a thin line between newborn and stillborn, full term and premature, between healthy and sick. If you're pregnant or think you are, getting prenatal care early is the most important step you can take. Don't put your baby's health on the line. Take care of yourself so you can take care of your baby. Find out now about getting prenatal care. Call 1-800-311-2229.
Welcome back to MSL Presents a Question of Law. We're discussing police dogs, as you can see here with Frisco, the police dog. Let me ask you, officer, how are police dogs trained? How was Frisco trained?
Frisco was trained for 2 years over in Holland before I got him. Then when he came over here to the States, we went to the Boston Police Canine Academy for 14 weeks to train for patrol procedures.
Is he certified? Do they certify dogs?
Yes, they do. Boston certifies them when they graduate from the training, and then he holds 2 more national certifications.
Now, do you have to keep up with his training on an annual basis or weekly basis?
Weekly basis. Between patrol and narcotics, we train 8 to 12 hours a week.
Wow.
To keep our certifications up.
Wow.
Yes.
And is he retested? Or?
He's tested every year on narcotics, state and national, and every 2 years patrol procedures.
How old is Frisco?
Frisco's going to be 6 in May.
He's going to be 6 in May. Now, what will happen to Frisco when you retire?
We'll both retire together, and he'll be my partner for life. He'll be with us. He'll be a regular couch potato.
How long can a police dog work?
It depends on the health of the animal, anywhere from 8 to 14 years.
Wow.
Yep.
What a wonderful investment.
Oh, absolutely.
How do you develop Frisco's physical fitness?
A lot of running, a lot of agility, and watch his diet very closely.
Mm-hmm. How was Frisco trained to sniff out drugs? Is there any of that you can share with us, or is that something confidential?
It's just that class alone is 12 weeks, and I can't go into details of how they do it, but it's mostly on praise and reward.
So we saw when we went out with him to search for the drugs that he is really searching for the drugs so that he gets to play afterwards.
Right. He thinks he's looking for his toy. He has a chew toy, and the only time he gets that is when he finds the odor, the narcotics. And then we'll play for a while, as you saw. And that's all he thinks he's looking for.
Let's leave the studio for just a few moments and join my colleagues for a discussion of the admissibility of evidence that are obtained by police dogs such as Frisco.
Can you tell me how the courts deal with using police dogs in searching for drugs?
What we have to remember is generally what the courts are looking for is to determine whether a warrant was needed or whether in fact there was probable cause to exist to search an individual or their motor vehicle or a compartment and the like. And what the courts have ruled frequently is that the use of a dog simply to sniff a suspect or the vehicle or anything else does not constitute a search or seizure that would be violative of the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution. Once the dog has in fact located contraband, then at that point the police, under the applicable case law, are able to search the vehicle or search an individual's person in order to try and see if that person has drugs or some other contraband.
In what other circumstances have the courts dealt with using police dogs?
Well, there's actually a few other issues that generally come up with respect to the use of police dogs. The most common or long-standing issue is the types of dogs that are used to actually track suspects or to use to hunt an individual, for instance, who has fled the scene and the like. And what happens in those instances is that we need to know that the dog, much like any other type of scientific device, is sufficiently reliable and trustworthy so that we can trust the results that the dog has found. For instance, if someone has broken into a house and stolen certain items, and then we believe they've left the property through the back door, and there's been situations where they've taken the tracking dogs. The dog is actually tracked from the back door all the way through to the suspect's house. And the question is, well, then how do we know that that person is the one who did it? Well, we have the police officer testify. Obviously, the dogs can't testify. And the police officer, who is in fact the trainer of the dog, will get on the stand, testify as to his own education, training, background, and experience so that we know they're qualified to interpret the signals that the dog has given. And then he would also testify that the dog has been used in this fashion in the past and that the dog is sufficiently reliable and trustworthy so that we can take the results of that into consideration. And under those circumstances, if all of that foundation has been laid, then the dog, in essence, would get to testify through the police officer who would tell us the results that the dog found. And that is the oldest example. The more recent examples of the courts looking at the use of police dogs actually deals with civil liability for the dog having bitten someone and caused serious injury. And what we see there is the courts actually, again, going back and looking at the type of training that the dog has had. Many jurisdictions, now many states actually use a bark and hold procedure as opposed to the bark and bite. Bark and hold, the dog would actually detain the suspect, hopefully without inflicting any wounds. The dogs that have been trained to bark and bite, the problem is at times people have suffered serious injuries, and then, believe it or not, these days those people, who are criminals as many people would see it, would then sue for their injuries. And the courts try to examine that to see, A, is the city immune, or the state immune from any claims of that sort, or is this excessive force which can result in civil liability both for the dog trainer as well as the state or municipal entity involved.
What can police agencies do to ensure that the evidence gathered with the assistance of police dogs is properly admitted in court?
A couple things. Like a device that we would use to detect the speed of a vehicle, for instance, a radar detector, we should know that the dog has been properly tested, so that whatever the training that was taking place, we know that on a regular basis someone retrains the dog, make sure that the results that the dog is giving us are sufficiently reliable. For instance, if we're going to have the dog search for drugs, then the dog should periodically be retrained as to how to search, and under the circumstances, if they find the drugs, what their response would be. We should make sure that the person interpreting the signals of the dog also receives periodic training and updates so that we know that that's done in a timely fashion. I mean, the biggest things, if one were to try and take a look at the whole thing, is ensure that it's sufficiently trustworthy and reliable. And the way in which we do that is by regular training, regular inspection of the results of the dogs, and to try and make sure that in the situations where the dog has caused someone's injuries, that hasn't happened on too regular of a basis. I think the statistics tend to say that if a dog actually ends up biting suspects, probably greater than 20%, one should be worried that dog may need retraining at this point, because most of the times they should be able to detain the suspects without actually having to inflict injuries on them.
Welcome back to MSL Presents a Question of Law. Does Frisco like to work, officer?
Always loves to work. He can't wait to go to work. He knows when it's time. If I'm sleeping, taking a nap, he'll wake me up. It's in them. They just want to go, all police dogs. Not just Frisco. They all love the work.
You know, when I was preparing for the show, I was reading about police dogs, and they say sometimes they really don't like to go into retirement because they like work so much.
Right. It's just, they don't like laying around doing nothing. They want to go.
if you would, take a moment and describe for the audience the bond you have with Frisco.
Yeah, he becomes part of my family, and it's a lot of work, but it's a labor of love. Knowing, just what he'll do for me when I want him to do it, and it's the whole family. He's just part of our family.
It's so obvious. What is the liability that either you have or the city has if something goes wrong and Frisco were to apprehend the wrong person?
Well, there is a lot of liability in the hands. It's with the handler. I'll control him. He's still a dog, but he has to do what I tell him to do. And if there's an accidental bite, we've been lucky we haven't had that yet, and I hope we never have one. But I'm sure it happens.
Just like it happens, I suppose, in police work with police officers. There are accidents. The
Sure.
wrong person is shot or apprehended.
Right. It's just the control isn't with me. And the liability falls with me.
Kids all over the country are raising money for police dogs. Is that principally to raise money for vests?
Right. What it is they want to see all the dogs with vests. My department, when we came on, they went out. They got the best for Frisco. They wanted the best vest, the hot dog system, bailout system, everything to protect him.
So when he's in the car and you're off apprehending a criminal, we'll say, and it's very hot outside, he is protected by a monitor system?
Right. We'll leave the air conditioning on, and what we have is called the hot dog system the department bought. And if it gets above a certain temperature, the hot dog system will sound, the windows will drop, the fan will go on, lights and siren will go on to notify me there's a problem back with the car.
That's terrific. And if you were tied up, you had been shot, for example, would somebody else hear this alarm and be able to come?
Sure, it'll be our second canine officer, Officer Donaldson. He would handle the dog, or probably if he wasn't around, it'd have to be a family member.
We're about out of time. Last question I have for you. Is a canine a valuable addition to all police departments?
Absolutely. You can't beat them just for what they do, what they're trained to do.
Well, my day with you made that very obvious. So I thank you so much. And Frisco, you're a good boy. Thank you for coming.
Okay,
Thank you,
welcome.
officer.
All right.
To our viewing audience, until next time, be well.
Someone once said, we all come into this world alone, and we leave the same way. But in between, we have the chance to connect and help each other, to find ways you can do something to connect with the people in your community, called the Points of Light Foundation. Do something good. Feel something real.
10,000 eyes are on me. Shouting, Casey, go all the way. First base, second base, third base. Oh, make your move today. Do it, Casey, do it. Score mighty, Casey, score. I just don't get it. Is that what girls are for?
If you don't talk with your kids about sex, who will? Our free booklet can help.
Hey, Brianna, what was that math assignment?
Hello?
Hi, honey. What are you doing?
Doing homework with my friends. Aren't I supposed to?
Just called to say hi, that's all.
Hi? That's all?
Yep.
Dad, that's so cool.
But hey, coolness runs in our family.
Well, I was thinking that I need my allowance a little early.
What a coincidence. I need someone to clean the garage for me.
Really?
Family.
I'll see you tonight, Dad.
Isn't it about
All right.
time?
I love you.
I love you too, Dad.
From the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.